Now, emerging economies are having a tough time, and South Africa is no exception. The country has only just got out of recession. More than a quarter of the population is unemployed, and there's concern over land reform and corruption. But South Africa's Trade and Industry Minister, Rob Davies, told the BBC's Lebo Diseko that the country is cleaning up its act and is open for business.
Well, I think that we've come out of an episode in South Africa which has been very destructive to our economy. This episode of corruption, state capture. Many of our institutions have been quite severely weakened by this. But what we are, I think, able to tell investors is that we've turned a corner on this.
How do you convince investors when you can't even ensure the continuity of electricity supply?
What I can say is that the Minister of Public Enterprises, as the shareholder on behalf of government, has cracked the whip. People that were involved in nefarious practices will find themselves held accountable in a way they weren't a year or two ago.
The President, Cyril Ramaphosa, has said that cleaning out corruption, dealing with these issues, is one of his key priorities, and yet we saw him having to defend himself against allegations that were being made against his son over the same types of issues. It's not great, is it?
You know, there can be allegations and allegations. Where there is substance to allegations, people are having to face the music.
But it's about perception matters in business.
Well, I think that we have a newer Director of Public Prosecutions who is no pushover for anybody. I think we have institutions that are being rebuilt and that there is much more serious consequence management now. People that were involved in nefarious practices in Eskom are not there anymore.
We know South Africa has one of the most advanced economies, probably the most on the continent. It's got great people, it's got fantastic resources, but it does have a president who is vice president whilst all of this was happening. How do we trust? It's a rebuilding of trust.
Well, I think, I had the opportunity of sitting with President Ramaphosa when he was engaging with a very senior member of the US Senate. And this person turned around and said to him, he said, well, in South Africa, your institutions have been tested and they've held. And he said, referring to his own country, theirs are about to be tested.
South Africa has signed the Africa Free Trade Agreement. Many people say actually what we need is protectionism rather than free trade. It should be our country first. What do you say to that?
Well, I think we need to say our continent first, because none of us, it's one of the unfortunate facts of history that a country like China was not divided into 54 different countries by colonialism. We were. And none of us has got a sizable enough market or enough people to support deep diversification industrial development. So we've actually got to come together as a continent.